Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with me. I'm back again, Rob Plumbridge, and joining me once again is Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount. Loads to look forward to this week. We've got racing from Ripon, Newmarket and Newbury. But first of all, we're going to give ourselves a little pat on the back for last week. 4 winners out of the 11, starting with Daryl Carter's Nap, Mr. McCann romping home at Haydock. Followed by winners in the Shergar Cup of the Max We Can, a whopping 9-1 selection for Andrew Mount. Daryl and Andrew both picked Pride of Priory as well at 3-1. And then myself and Andrew rounded off the day with a day in Asia, finishing off the Shergar Cup. So without further ado, let's dig out some more winners for this week. We've got 9 live races in total, starting with the 120, the Bet Victor Handicap at Newbury. And let's say hello, first of all, to Andrew Mount.
Yeah, greetings, Rob. Yeah, well done last week with your debut. You were very confident, weren't you, about a day in Asia? So hope
broken clock.
Yeah, 11s into 4s. I hope that was all your money, because it was.
Fourth, yeah.
It was only a little bit of mine. Yeah, some good stuff today actually, and smallish fields as you'd expect, given the state of British racing plus the quick ground at the moment. This is a bit of a tricky one to kick off with. Been a race for 3-year-olds in recent years. 6 of the last 8 were 3-year-olds, and the 2 older horses were ones who nicked the race on the front end. But that's not a particularly helpful stat, because we've got 6 of the 8 runners are 3-year-olds this time around. Having gone through the lot of them, though, I kept coming towards the 4-year-old General Lee for Paul and Oliver Cole. He's got a great record in the high summer, sort of June, July, August. First, second, and third in 6 of his 7 runs. The only unplaced effort coming last time out on his Glorious Goodwood, when he'd been off the track for about 4 months, and that run would have been needed. He was poorly drawn towards the outside in a Gero's race, a horse that Daryl tipped. And he was a 14-1 shot as well. So I thought, with that run behind him, the time of year he goes well out, and even though he's up against horses getting that 3-year-old weight for age allowance, I thought generally 8-1 was the tentative pick in the race.
Lovely, nice big price to start us off. And how about you, Daryl?
Yeah, tentative is probably the right word that Andrew used there, because this is not a race that makes loads of appeal, in all honesty. The 2 at the top of the market, this Frantank, I'm not entirely sure he's well handicapped. I think he wants a straight course as well, just to keep it simple. It's a bit of a similar story, but it's definite for Ralph Beckett, who I did come down on narrowly over Rogue Rocket. I just thought there was stacks of improvement to come from Definite. The free-runner race at Nottingham last time, I just thought it was a bit of a messy affair. I didn't think he was entirely at home on the track. And you just watch him, and there is definitely scope for improvement to come from him. I think the tongue tie going on first time would be a big help. And I think he's going to try and dominate this field from the front in stall 3. So I'm hoping that he gets a clear run of things and perhaps could just see them all off from the front.
Lovely stuff. And like you said, small fields, certainly a sign of the times. And with that, we move on to the William Hill Ripon Hornblower Condition Stakes. Just the 5 runners here. Straight back to you, Daryl.
Yeah, it's a joke, isn't it? I mean, how much more evidence do they need to really get together, get their heads down and try and literally save racing from disaster and try and consolidate these races? I mean, you've just got to look at this today. We've got the Thursday today, we've got the Sovereign Stakes at Salisbury, Group 2 over, or Group 3 over 7 furlongs, and on Saturday we've got Hungerford over a mile. They're far too close together. We're splitting fields up unintentionally, and I mean, this race is only on TV because we've lost the consolation race with the Great St Wilfrid, which is just stupid. We've got to feel the Great St Wilfrid. Anyway, the 140 Ripon, yeah. I struggled with this race, to be honest. I thought, from a time perspective, I thought Prince of Perlo or WEN MOON would be the 2 to focus on. I like the fact that WEN MOON was strong at the finish over 5 furlongs and has course experience here at Ripon. The undulating track at Ripon can, be a bit of a pain to some of these 2-year-olds. Honor Your Dreams is the other one who's got a bit of course experience, but sort of seems to be on a downward turn already for Adrian Paul Keatley. I just wanted something that was going to be ridden prominently, perhaps grab the rail. That's the angle I like to look at Ripon. So you're normally looking for a high draw. And I thought WEN MOON just might be tough to catch if getting his own way on the front end.
WEN MOON for Daryl. How about you, Andrew?
I thought New Definition would win. He was beaten in a 3-runner race at Musselburgh last time. He was an odds-on favourite that day. Now, he looked sure to win that, but he was racing off the rail. There was a massive rail bias in the 5 furlong races that day. And the winner, who sort of made the running, been headed by New Definition, dropped back. You think, well, that's it, game over. And someone certainly thought that because he was matched at the Betfair maximum of 1,000 in running. He's rallied on the fence on the quickest strip of ground and won narrowly. So I think people will sort of see that as a disappointing run from New Definition, and he might be perhaps a slightly bigger price than he should be here. So I thought if you swapped track positions that day, New Definition would have won quite easily and probably be the one to bet here. But again, at the time of recording, we've only just found out that this is a televised race, and we haven't got any prices to go by as well. So it's a bit difficult to sort of pin your nails.
Pin your nails.
Pin your colours to a particular mass. So, I know what I meant.
Oh, excellent. Well, no selection for me in this, but we'll move on with that to the 155 Denford Stakes. And Andrew, who are you pinning your nails to in this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting race, this one actually. And you look at this race; it's been a front runner's benefit over the years. It's very hard to come from off the pace. Last 10 years, we've had 4 front running winners, 5 prominent races. Only 1 horse has come from off the pace. And I mean, Victory Dance heads the market. I can see 5-4 on. Was beaten last time out, and you look at that race, and the third I think has come out and been well beaten since. That was Dark 30. I know that one was well behind Victory Dance and Isaac Shelby, but I wasn't totally taken by the value of that form. And I just thought there might be a bit of value in going with the Charlie and Mark Johnson runner, FERRARI Queen. It's a race the Johnson Yard's done well in over the years. This one was an easy win from the front at Kempton last time out. We know what she's going to do. She's just going to ping and go, and she might be able to stay there, or perhaps at least run second to the favourite. But I'd be quite happy to back FERRARI Queen here and hope that she can hold on.
FERRARI Queen for Andrew. I'll make my first selection of the week, and I just thought Victory Dance will win this. I think he'll be far too good for these. Obviously, Group 2 company last time, dropping down in grade, so be a confident pick, maybe to sort of double up with a couple of the others later on. But Daryl, how did you see it?
Yeah, exactly the same as you. I thought Victory Dance would be very difficult to beat. I wouldn't take that rating of 105 too literally, though, right next to his name. He was about 9 lengths slower than the Bunbury Cup winner on the card at Newmarket when being the head by Isaac Shelby. Probably put him about £10 below that, around that 105. So he's probably not top rated in his field, in my opinion. But I just love the attitude. I love the way he grounded it out. I know he was touched off ahead, but stride after the line, he'd have been in front. The stride before the line, he was in front. So I do like him. The fact that William Buick's here to ride is always a good telltale. James Doyle, I think, goes to Newmarket, where they've got a couple of other runners. I think Victory Dance would be very tough to beat. I wouldn't want to be taking him on at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So myself and Daryl backing the boys in blue. And now we go back down to Newmarket, another 5-runner race. Discover Newmarket Fillies Handicap. Daryl, let's go with you again.
What race is this?
It's a 210.
Oh, the 210. I don't think I've looked at this one, Rob.
Do you want me to go? You
go, Drew.
Andrew, take over.
Yeah, this is one of. Well, am I allowed to nap a horse to finish second? Because Single doesn't win very often. She's 2 from 37. She's finished second on 9 occasions. She was second in this race last year. She's a typical Mick Shannon horse in that she's probably been overfaced and running in races that she's going to struggle to win. But she does try. And you can bet horses to finish exactly second with some bookmakers. Sky Bets do that particular offer. And of course, you could use the tote. You just back the exactors, the other 4 runners to win, Single to finish second, or even do a trifecta, any horse to finish first and third, Single to finish second. I think she'll find one to beat her again. That seems to be her forte. And so yeah, that would be my my bet. 4 forecasts, everything else to beat single.
Nice and exotic. Well,
hopefully Daryl can come up with a winner in the last 60 seconds he's had to look at this race.
yeah, I mean, Kate wouldn't let you nap that, but under my watch, it's all good, Andrew. So we'll let you get away with that. Daryl, what finishes first?
I don't know. Honestly, if I came up with like a selection now, I'd be a fraud. And honestly, I just generally missed this off the list, Rob. So don't fire me, but I apologise. I have to skip this one.
No, that's okay. So the 210, go and make yourself a brew, and just wait for the 230, the Bet Victor Geoffrey Freer Stakes. Daryl, have you got the winner for this?
Have I got the winner for this? I don't know. This is quite difficult. This is quite a tough little race. I would definitely 100% be against this favourite Zachariah though, because I don't think he's the strongest over this trip. So I'd 100% want to be against him. I thought Away He Goes was very interesting, and there's been a little bit of support come for him already. This horse is so frustrating. He's a little bit tripless, right? But he's sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place because he's not quite good enough at the top table. And then when he sort of drops down into like listed company, he always bumps into one that's improving. Now, this Zachariah could be improving, but I'm just not honestly convinced about him over the trip at all. And I thought him dropping back to a mile 5 would be interesting. He's been running over 2 miles in some decent company. The way he travelled at Goodwood would suggest you want to drop him back and trip, but that can be a little bit of a red herring because he has done that before over the short trip and fallen away. But I think the smaller field's going to help him because he does tend to be held up at the rear of the field. Now, normally that wouldn't be a positive in a smaller field because someone like Outbox might just be able to dictate the race here and win it off the front end. But what I mean by that is that he's not going to be so detached from the field and he's going to be in with a chance at least rather than having to make up so much ground against better horses in better company. So for that reason, Away He Goes gets one last vote because this is one of the better opportunities that he's had in a long while. I mean, it was Group 1 company last time. It was the Hardwick Stakes at Royal Ascot the time before that. It was the Ebor before that. So this is much calmer waters for him. So hopefully he can get the job done here.
Absolutely. Andrew, what do you reckon?
This is total crap, isn't it? It's a veterans Group 3. I mean, you take out the hard to win with Zachariah, who I share Daryl's reservations about, and you're left with a whole load of sort of 6 and 7-year-olds. And I thought Away He Goes might be the one, but he hasn't won for a couple of years, and I'll make him the token selection. But my God, this is awful. I kept thinking Universal Order was going to sort of bounce back to some of his consistent form where he used to finish 2nd or 3rd in pretty much every single race he ran in below Group 1 company. He used to be another one that you could just put in to finish 2nd to the field in exactas and make a good profit with. But he perhaps isn't quite the same horse in 3 runs this season since he returned from injury. Very disappointing last time out. So I'm a bit dubious about Universal Order at the moment. So yeah, I'll go with Away He Goes, but what a pile of rubbish.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, really. I think moving on very, very swiftly. This is the race that, it's the highlight race at Ripon. Only attracted 15 of the 20 runners. Again, sign of the times, unfortunately. This is the William Hill Great St Wilfrid Handicap. Daryl, I know you're disappointed with the field size, but what do you make of this?
Yeah, I am disappointed in the field size, but I've still got a short list of bloody 4. Just Another Bottle is £15 higher than winning this race last year, right? But this horse is free for free at Ripon, and he just loves it here. He disappointed in the Stewards Cup last time out, but he's bounced back from a poor effort before. He's off a rate of 105. I mean, he's got to give a good bit of weight away, really, but he's just got absolute optimum conditions. Now, I've gone back through this race over the years, and I've always been an advocate. I used to absolutely love Sylvester de Souza at this track because, especially when he was drawn high, you just get on that round, it'd just be very hard to pass. That's always been the case at Ripon. If you're drawn high and you can get on that round, you're on the front end of the pace, you you normally go very close. And if you look at the last 6 winners of this race, right, they've all been drawn high in double figures, yeah, and they've all been described as very prominent or making the running. So I don't want to hold up horse here, especially at Ripon, where they split into 2 groups usually. Those drawn low will go to the far side, those drawn high will stay here. That's why it can be a bit of a death sentence to be in the middle. And I was hoping Al Simo was one of the horses. I was hoping he was going to be drawn high, because he would be just the type to keep on side for this. But I've had to let him go. I thought Misty Grey was very interesting, but is a better horse on the all-weather, and I'm not entirely sure that Misty Grey loves a straight track. I think the horse likes pinging around a bend. Emperor Spirit was interesting, but then that tied in with Just Another Bottle, where Just Another Bottle beat that horse very comfortably a couple of starts back, of £3 lower. I thought Just Another Bottle had everything in his favour. Snash is the one that's annoying me, because he's drawn well, stall 14, exactly what I'd like. I'm hoping, I don't know if he's going to be ridden promptly or not. That's my issue. Sometimes you can just drop into the rear of midfield and try and come late. That would be an issue. But he's a 4-year-old on an upward curve who's pretty unexposed over 6 furlongs. He's won 2 of his last 3 starts. The other one came over 7, which he sort of ran okay, but 6 is where he's really progressing. So I was struggling with him or Just Another Bottle, and I could not have the winner probably between the 2 of them. But I do like the case you can make for both of those.
Nice case for a couple of those. And you've touched on my selection for the race, which is Emperor Spirit. And hated it at Chelmsford. Racing wide, never the way to go there. And this would be much more up his street. 16-1, that'll be a small each way place for me. He's got a half decent draw as well, as Daryl alluded to. Andrew, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a pace burn up here, and I know Ripon traditionally favours prominent races, but it's a weird old race because you've got Hyper Focus stall 7, Al Simo drawn 8. Where are they going to go from those no man's land, draws towards the near side? Try and get across, stay straight down the middle, or go far side. I think they're more likely to come near side. It's a shame we haven't got a consolation race, with a maximum field to give us a bit of a draw clue.
Yeah.
So of those drawn high, I'm going to agree with Misty Grey as an all-weather performer, ideally. Although sometimes with horses who seem better going left-handed, they need a rail to their left. They can win or run well on straight tracks. Catchy was a bit like that. When he won at Goodwood, he had a rail to his left, and he did run well. The likes of Ascot when he came across to the near side. Snash 2 from 2 of the cheap pieces over this trip, so yeah, certainly wouldn't put you off that one. One of Daryl's picks. Tim Easterby's got a good record in this race over the years, although he does throw a lot of darts at the board. Emperor Spirit I wasn't so keen on because of this sort of all-weather versus turf angle. The one I've bet 2 in the race. The one I've bet is a 33-1 best price at the time of writing, Mark's Choice, coming out of Trap 12. Now, he's a real course expert. Used to be trained by Sam England. He's in the same ownership. He's gone to Adrian Keatley. I'm not sure what the story is, whether there's been a falling out or whether it's just a change of scenery, or he's wearing a first-time visor, so maybe previous trainer didn't want to put that on. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But this horse has had more wind operations than I've had hot dinners, and as you can tell, I've had quite a few hot dinners. And he has won twice first time back after wind surgery. Previously, he tends to come from a little further off the pace, but he'll just tuck in behind those front runners. And if you do get Misty Grey, Emperor Spirit, Just Another Bottle, Al Simo, Hyper Focus, all trying to sort of make the running down the near side. Again, we've got 5 places and 6 places with some firms. The winner might go and make all, but a lot of those front runners are going to drop away. And if you're backing each way, I'll probably back 6. Well, I'll back 5 or 6 each way in this race, and I'll be looking for hold-up horses to pick up the pieces. Certainly, Mark's Choice is one of them. And the other one I was semi-interested in was Indian Creek, who's drawn in stall 2. Now, Indian Creek is a small field horse. And although this isn't a small field, obviously, he is likely to be one of only maybe 2, 3 or 4 probably, or go far side. Given the bias on the round course to that rail on the far side, maybe it'll be quicker by the stand side. We don't know. We're guessing. We've seen it switch from meeting to meeting at Ripon over the years. What they're going to do with the watering, they're going to go chuck too much on the near side rail. We've seen that in the past as well. So he's worth a speculative interest around about 20s, 25s. because he could be the one with the run of the race up that far side rail. And it's worth taking the chance at a big price. So yeah, Indian Creek, Mark's choice for me.
Lovely stuff. So 2 big prices from Andrew there. Make sure you check with your bookmaker and get as many places as you can. Those races, some offering 6 and 7. And that moves us neatly on to the Bet Victor handicaps at 3 o'clock. And we'll go over to Daryl.
Yeah, this is where I'm hoping to make the money this week. And that's with 5,000 to 1 in this race. He was 10 to 1 during the week. He had 2 entries, Doncaster and here. They've come here, which I'm happy about. I don't know if I'd have fancied him as much at Doncaster, but his latest run was in first time cheek pieces at Salisbury. And it was a small 3-runner field. He was held up at the rear of the field. It was a stop-start gallop, steady gallop. And he had to switch wide around both Run to Freedom, who's rated 110, and Royal Commando, who's rated 104. And he had to switch wide, and he finished really, really strongly. That is the first time I've seen him hit the line very hard since his promising 2-year-old campaign. And that was a conditions race. He was level weights with Royal Commando, like I say, he's rated 104, and he was receiving £6 from Run to Freedom. But the race just didn't really pan out too well for him. I think he's never really had the pace for 6 furlongs, and stepping up in trip today to 7, I think is almost certainly going to suit. The cheek pieces remain on, so they will need to sort of work again. And I think this horse, who had 2 runs which were no-shows prior to that on the back of a gelding operation, is finally going to start to deliver his promise. Now, he recorded an RPI of 104 at Salisbury. He's been left on the same rating of 93. He's into a handicap, quickly into a handicap here. And I think he's just better than these horses, in all honesty, if he's putting his best foot forward. Now, he returns to Newbury for the first time since he finished second to Al Kumate in the Mill Reef here, 3/4 of 11 second, which was a cracking run, recording an RPI of 112 then. So if he is back on his game, then he could be very well handicapped, and he could be very, very dangerous. I think fast ground is the key to him as well. His best performances have come on a quick surface, and I just think his horse is just about to hit form right now, and I think the cheek pieces have just brought that little bit of spark back to him. So hopefully him 5,000 to 1 will win. Just quickly touch on, because of fear of missing out, documenting is the big outsider here, and he really shouldn't be the big outsider at 16 to 1. If that's the case, I'm probably going to have a little saver on him as well, not because of my lack of confidence in the 5,000 to 1, just because he's the wrong price, really. He was only beaten 1 1/4 lengths behind Fresh at Ascot and the Mountain Shandon. He stayed on really strongly. That form in terms of handicapping is extremely strong, and I don't want to be critical of some of these apprentice jockeys because they're learning their trade, but a better jockey would have won on him at York when I tipped him up. He would have won on him, and he was only beaten 3 lengths as well by Inver Park at the Royal Meeting in the Buckingham Palace the time before that. This is much calmer waters for him. Look, he's not thrown in on his handicap mark, but he will give his running, and if he gives his running, he has done the last couple of times in those big field handicaps, he could be a bit of value at 16 to 1, but 5,000 to 1 will be the selection.
A selection, and that sounded like Daryl's nap voice that you were doing there with that.
Yeah, it is my nap. I mean,
I hope it's not a Naposaurus Rex.
do you know what? During the week, I was thinking, I'm going to have a load. I'm going to have a good whack on this. But there are other horses in the field like Gisborne. He loves it here at Newbury, and he did run on quite strongly at Goodwood. It was quite eye-catching. So he's obviously in good form. Your Naposaurus Rex is going to come when they're towering over everything else, really. Yeah. But I'm hoping 5,000 to 1 is going to get the job done here today. He's much better than 93. Come on, he is.
Lovely, love it. I'm going to quickly put up Dance Fever here.
No chance.
No chance. No chance, he says. Well, we'll see you next week. But I thought he was staying on really well at Goodwood in a messy race. I thought this would be much easier, much more simpler task than that. And I'll be back here each way at the prices. And what say you, Andrew?
I thought this was a very interesting race because of 5,000 to 1, because he was the first horse that I drew a thick line through and thought, well, that can't win because he's a complete pig. And he's had 14 runs in his career. He's won once on Newcastle's All Weather when he was 2 to 1 on. The time of that Salisbury race was pedestrian last time. The juveniles over course and distance have beat them early on. Even the Class 6 amateur riders race over a mile at the start of the card. They run quicker per furlong than those donkeys that were struggling to win races between them in that three-runner contest. I think it's an awful price. Gisborne, he loves Newbury, as Daryl said. He's had three runs here. A fourth on his race called Derby when he ran green, beating less than 2 lengths and 2 wins. Up in trip, he ran well at Goodwood. Keeping on into second behind I'm a Gambler, ruining my exacta and trifecta in the process, the git. He could run well, but his chances covered in his price of 5-2. Dance Fever, given Clive Cox has won this race for the last 2 years, I thought he had a chance. He hasn't lost 11 in a row, which is a worry, but all his wins have come in smallish fields. I thought he's got to be there or thereabouts. The one I'm going to put up was KANE, one that I did throw a speculative small bet out in the Stewards Cup. He completely bombed his chance out that day by playing up in the stalls and rearing up and just never at the races. And he won over 7.5 furlongs at Foss last, the last time he's gone beyond a sprint trip. He's likely to make the running as well. And again, we've got 7 runners, a race that traditionally favours front runners. They could crawl here. I mean, Documenting's a horse I've loved over the years, but he needs them to go like the Clappers. So I don't think he's going to be, have the race run to suit. United Front's a bit of a sort of fly in the ointment in terms of what they do tactically, usually ridden patiently, but given he's trained by Mick Appleby, he often switches tactics when he can see that there's not a lot of pace in the race. But I thought they might just let KANE go from the frontier, and I was quite happy to back him at 12-1 or thereabouts. Some firms are offering each way 3 places on this race, even though there's 7 runners. And that might be a good angle as well with Dance Fever, given his consistent profile.
Lovely stuff. Plenty of strong and different opinions on that race. And we go now to Newmarket, which is the 318, the Grey Horse Handicap. It's class 4 over 6 furlongs. Andrew, back to you.
Yeah, Belton race. This is a meeting I normally try and attend. There can be like sort of 15, 16 grey horses milling around the paddock. Not so many this year as we've come to expect, given the weather and the current state of racing. One I liked, hard to win with, but was second in the race last year off a £3 high mark. That's Wentworth Falls. Now, he ran in Good Earth's York race last time out, 20 run a 6 furlong handicap, where something like the first 8 or 9 home were drawn in single figures. And you look at the horses who were drawn high that day. A couple of them have come out and won since. And he was, I think, 4th best of those who were came from the high draws. So yeah, I thought he'd run a good race. Of the rest of them, Lord Rapscallion's a complete hound, but he might finish second, as he often does. Mr. Bluebird could get a soft ground, but he's going to get a soft ground or soft lead on. Could get a soft lead, but on ground that's too quick for him. VERREAUX was the other one I wanted to back, as well as Wentworth Falls. He was a big eye catch around the inside at Chester a couple of runs ago when you couldn't win round the inner. I bet him at Haydock on the strength of that next time out. He's disappointed, but they've chucked the visor on him, and he's his sire, Free Eagles, done well with his progeny in the first-time visor. 5 from 17 on the flat for a profit of £18.75. So I just thought the headgear going on for the first time, VERREAUX could be the one to beat Wentworth Falls into second again this time. So it's an interesting little race. But again, Wentworth Falls, a bit like Single I mentioned earlier, one of these horses that you kind of want to back to finish second to the field in exactas, or find a bookmaker offering prices on horses to finish exactly second, because I can see him doing that again.
Lovely stuff. How about you, Daryl?
Yeah, I've got no strong opinion on this one, Rob. I do like the race just as a visual standpoint, but Wentworth Falls is a horse that does go well here. I don't think he's been beaten more than 2 lengths on his runs on the July course. He's a horse that you just write off any other run other than at Doncaster or here at Newmarket. So he's going to go well, but he is vulnerable to something taking a little bit of a step forward. I thought the interesting move for Lord Rapscallion was dropping back to 6 furlongs, and he is into a class 4 for the first time in Britain. So he could go well. He's turned out 9 days later. This is a bit calmer waters than what he's been used to. It's just one of those horses that can be a bit too free as well. It doesn't really sit out the 7 furlongs on many occasions unless he's getting a steadily run affair. I thought they might just be quite positive with him, and go forward. But I just couldn't find an angle into a bet, and I couldn't see no prices before we come on air. So I didn't really come down on anything, Rob, to be honest.
Lovely stuff. No strong opinion from myself either. And we finish up with our last race. A lovely bit of Group 2 action. It's the Hungerford Stakes over at Newbury, over 7 furlongs. Yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Daryl.
Yeah, this is good. I expected Chindit to go to the Sovereign. Well, I didn't expect him. He had an entry into the Sovereign Stakes earlier in the week. They've decided not to go there and come here, which is probably the right move. The interesting thing from the Richard Hannon point of view is that they put Happy Romance in here as well, which is, I don't know if that's going to be a positive for Chindit's chances or not. But the drop back to 7 furlongs is I think, is a positive overall. I was umming and ahhing whether it was during the week for Chindit would come back to 7 furlongs, but he hasn't really been hitting the line over a mile. Not hard anyway. And I think coming back to 7 furlongs is a positive move. Look, he's bumped into Bailly 3 out of his last 4 runs, and when he didn't, he won. He beat Muta Sarbeck. It was a strong stand performance at Ascot. Although when he was after the line, he was stopping quite quickly. So I do think he's a horse that needs a very strong pace, and he's a strong finisher over a 7 furlong trip. I would write off anything he's done in his career at Newmarket because he just doesn't handle the course there. But other than that, outside of Group 1 company, he's got a pretty good record. I would also forgive his Group 2 start, which came at the back end of last year, which was again at Newmarket behind House of Howe when the race just wasn't run to suit him. But a lot of these are stepping up in trip, and I think that some of them are going to go off too hard, and I think you're going to need a strong start at this trip to win this race today. So I think Chindit I think he should be favourite. I'm very surprised he's a 9-2 shot. I genuinely thought he would be more like a 5-2 and then pushing shorter on the day. In all honesty, he's got Pogo held, in my opinion. Last year they met in a Celebration Mile at Goodwood, and Chindit was checked in his run when Pogo was making all the running. He had to drop 3 or 4 lengths off, and he was coming back at Pogo really strongly at the line. And so I just think he's a superior animal, and I'm not entirely convinced a lot of these are up to this level. Tiber Flow is going to be well supported. Haggis won this race last year, but he did catch the eye a little bit at Ascot and Commonwealth Cup running on, but I'm not overly convinced by him, in all honesty. And he needs to take a step forward to win this, to come up to Chindit's level. So I was going through the race and I was thinking, well, who is the biggest danger to Chindit? And I mean, probably Pogo if he gets a freebie on the front end or something. I don't see what's going to improve really for going up from 6 furlongs to 7 in this field. So Chindit, I think he has to be the bet, doesn't he? He has to be.
Does he, Andrew?
Yeah, he's had 8 runs in his career below Group 1 company. He's won 6 of them, finished 3rd and 4th in the others. So, and again, he tends to race near the front end, which is what you usually need on the straight course at Newbury. Pogo will make the running, you thought. I did get some stick when he won on his penultimate start because I thought he was flattered by his Haydock win the time before when racing on the inside of the track. He's followed that up with a good effort at Glorious Goodwood, but I think there might just be a little bit more pace pressure this time. I think Pogo will lead, Chindit will sit in second, and Chindit will be able to use his stamina to sort of overhaul him in the closing stages. The other one I like is Double or Bubble for Chris Wall. I did put this one up at a massive price in the Platinum Jubilee at Royal Ascot. And although he was only the 11th of 24 in that race, he was only beaten 3 and a bit lengths behind Naval Crown. He's then gone to the July Cup at Newmarket, finished 5th of 13 at 28-1 behind Alcohol Free. Now back up to 7 furlongs, fast ground is exactly what he wants. You look at his record, below Group Company, 7 furlongs or shorter, good or faster ground, 8 runs, 5 wins and 3 seconds. So if they do go hard up front, and if you're back in Double or Bubble, do it each way, and hope that the likes of sort of Chindit, Pogo, Do by Poet perhaps do go a little bit quicker than maybe ideal and set it up for one who's ridden a bit more chilly. But yeah, I thought Double or Bubble showed a great chance. And there are some firms offering 4 places, but as you'd expect, they're sort of pricing defensively 6-1, 13-2, as opposed to the 15-2 available with one firm. So it's one of those ones, what happens if you take 15-2 each way 3 places, she'll finish 4th. So.
And she has had many of these in behind her before, so it's surprising she's probably as big as 15-2. Yeah,
and Chris Wall's going well at the moment as well. It was a cracking race, and after some of the dross that served up as televised fare earlier in the day, this is a lot more like it.
Well, you both really took the wind out of my sails here because I was I was going to nap Tiberflow. Coming back down to this levels, won 4 out of 6. 3-year-old still improving. 3-year-olds don't have a bad record, and it's the same jockey trainer as last year in Sacred, but I'm not as confident now. So I'll put him up, but he's not going to be my nap now. I'll have to find something else. So yeah, cheers for that, lads.
Well, I thought he was priced up defensively based on his trainer rather than what he'd achieved on the track. I wasn't totally sure about Stall 1 either, been a little bit exposed towards that far side in the field of 10. And we've seen the races sort of develop centre to stand side more at Newbury this season. Yeah. So I just thought, yeah, he shouldn't be 3 to 1. It's probably a sort of 4 to 1, 9 to 2 the field race, really.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Which moves us on to any other selections, lads. Have you got anything, Daryl, for anywhere else?
I thought Air to Air was interesting at Doncaster in the 1548. This horse has performed incredibly well. The last twice this horse has come there. It's got a £7 claimer on, which normally I don't really like when they do that and a horse got ideal conditions. But this £7 claimer is actually fairly useful. So depending on price, that horse is not 248, 241. Is it? No.
348.
348. Sorry, I wrote it down wrong. Yeah, depending on price, the attorney's in there, so he should probably.
I think he's 10 to 3.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's a cracking price. If 10 to 3 or bigger, a big cracking price, to be honest. That's it, Rob.
And how about you?
Come back.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Newbury, the 445, the amateur riders race, frontispiece for Amanda Perrott. There's a real course expert, useless pretty much anywhere else. Didn't run badly and defeat Doncaster last time out. Coming back to his beloved Newbury, could see him bounce back. Air to Air, like Daryl, is one I like. I tipped him up in Racing and Football Outlook on Tuesday. He ran in the international stakes at Ascot last time behind Fresh. He was one of those who was drawn high and was up against the bias. You look at Lion Tower, Stall 18's has come out of that race and won since, and Air to Air was only a couple of places and about half a length behind that one. So yeah, Air to Air and Frontispiece, my 2 others at the moment.
Apologies there. I think I had a little bit of interference. Let's get your naps, gents.
Go on, Andrew, you go first.
I'm going to go Mark's choice in the gunshot wound, the GSW, the Great St Wilfrid.
I think Chindit is far too big of a price in the Hungerford Stakes.
Okay. God, do you know what? I'm just going to go for Victory Dance, odds on, in the 155 Denford Stakes. And normally that
Rob, you do realise there is a special hat to wear if you nap an odds on shot that gets beat. You have to wear next week.
Yes, well, I imagine won't be the first time I've napped an odds on shot and it's lost. So I'll wear it with pride. Now, normally that would be it. But we're going to give you a little bit extra this afternoon. I've asked the lads to prepare us a little tip for York earlier on in the week. Andrew, what's your nap or what's your tip for the Ebor Festival next week?
I'll go for Daryl first because I completely forgot that you asked us to do that and I haven't done it. So.
Daryl, have you remembered?
It's not a nap, it is a tip, but I'm hoping that Roger Verrin has played a blinder. It's in a Clipper Logistics handicap on Wednesday. On the you'll have to find out what day that is, Rob. Clipper Logistics handicap, horse called Bashosh. Now he runs tomorrow, and I'm hoping that they're going to get a penalty to run next week to make sure that he gets in because he's number 53. And I think that this has been a plan for a while because they have had him entered up so many times in so many different places. This horse is really well handicapped, in my opinion. I thought he ran a stormer 63 days ago. Now, it's a slight concern he's been off 63 days, but I do think they've been waiting for this York meeting. He ran a stormer on the all-weather behind Caribana as a subsequent winner. But if you go and watch that race, Cameron Noble just took him about 3 or 4 wide and just tried to inject loads of pace into the race, and he was just caught late. That was over a mile at Chelmsford. But if you go back and look at some of the form he had from last year, like giving Sela Rossa tons of weight, who's now rated, what, 105, 100 and something like that. He's off a mark of 89. There's lots of bits and pieces in his form that's worked out really well everywhere you look that suggests this horse is much better than a mark of 89. So I'm hoping tomorrow that he will win, and then I'm hoping they'll probably get a penalty and go next week, because he's already entered, so he'd have to run under a penalty rather than being reassessed. So Bashosh in a clip of logistics.
Lovely, really like that. Now while Andrew does his
yeah, no, mine's one that I missed the boat on when I was sort of tipped. This one has been aimed at the Nunthorpe, and that's Royal Acclaim for the James Tate yard. I think she's about 13 to 8, I should say. She's a 3-year-old filly, because she's 3 from the 3. She was so impressive last time out in that listed race over course and distance. I know she only beat Mon Damage into second, but Mon Damage is capable on his day, and he does sometimes come from off the pace to finish second in races he can't win. And it's all systems
Power was in that race, wasn't he?
Sorry?
She? Winter Power was in that race as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Was only 6th after making the running. So it's going to have the race run to suit again. They're going to go like the absolute clappers. We know how important York form is, particularly in this race. We've seen time and time again, so horses who haven't been here or haven't won here disappoint. So I thought she was absolutely rock solid, and though it's not normally the price I play at, I'll certainly be getting involved next week.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. The way James Tate's talking about that horse. I'll finish by putting up KINTA for George Bowie in the Lowther. Really keen to take on Dramatised. I thought the form at Ascot isn't working out brilliantly. She was really eye-catching in the Princess Margaret, chasing home the Zoo. Showed a really good attitude, staying on. She's 16 to 1, the Zoo's 9 to 2, and I thought that would do for a strong each-way play for me. And that finishes us off. And I'd just like to say thanks to Andrew and Daryl for all their contributions this afternoon. Thank you for watching. Good luck with all your bets this weekend, and we'll see you next week for the Sky Bet Ebor at York.